All right, on today's episode of DEETOUR, I'm talking about my marathon. I'm talking about physical challenges. I'm talking about something that has had a major physical and mental impact on my life for the last 10 years. And I'm going to challenge you guys to do something. Stay tuned, listen. And once you listen to this episode and you go sign up for something, I want you to tag me on Instagram because I've had a lot of impact on a lot of people trying to improve their physical health. And I want to give a pathway how a physical challenge will actually have a major impact on the rest of your life. Hello, everyone. So in today's episode of DEETOUR, I wanted to talk about my recent marathon. And if you listen to the other podcast group chat, I was joking around on how I thought marathons were stupid. And the reason why I thought it was stupid was it's just an enormous commitment in terms of the time that you have to dedicate. And you have to be at a certain place in your life to dedicate that much time to training for a marathon because it is a big feat, 26.2 miles. It took me nearly 5 hours to run it. And it's very taxing on your body. And I joked around and said I did it for social media and I did it for all those things. There's something about completing a physical challenge that actually makes you mentally stronger and a happier person. There's a euphoric feeling when you cross a finish line that it is indescribable, that I don't think you can get with, successful things in your business life. I think you can get it in your personal life, like the day your child is born, the day you get married. I think you have those feelings. But there's something, and maybe it's the endorphins that get released when doing exercise that a physical challenge gives you, that I really recommend taking on a physical challenge. And I'm not saying in the sense of like, Chad, who's filming me right now, he enjoys doing challenges on a monthly basis to kind of challenge his physical self or mental self every so often. I actually think signing up for a race or in my case, it was a marathon that started with a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, eventually a marathon. I actually first started with a triathlon, which was equally very challenging. And there's something about being disciplined, training for something, accomplishing it, that actually has a residual impact on the rest of your life. And a lot of times when you're working at your job or you have your own business or you're absorbed by your kind of daily life of work and play, you lose discipline in a lot of parts of your life very easily. And there's something about, so social media has allowed us to do these challenges and our peers hold us responsible for it. And I think that's great. So you can do a 30-day, workout challenge. And for 30 days, if you post it on social media, you're holding yourself accountable. But if you're not active on social media or you don't feel like that's enough pressure, signing up for a race or a competition actually forces you to train for something, be disciplined about it, complete it, and then get the reward of it. And what I experienced this weekend, it was a very difficult time running the marathon. I was in excruciating pain the last 3 miles because my legs cramped. But that feeling of finishing, it is so emotional. Like I was choked up. Like I was so overwhelmed by doing it because I know I spent the last 4 months training for it. And I don't even have the time to properly train for something like a marathon, but I committed to it. And it was so on my mind. It affected the rest of my life. And I would say it affected my life in a positive way. It made me very organized on my time because I knew I had to close in on a workout. I was careful about what I was eating, what I was drinking, what I was consuming, because anything would affect my next day in a run or my performance. And so it actually got a lot of the rest of my life quite disciplined. And that's why I encourage you, to unless you're a very disciplined person and you don't need this, I encourage you to sign up for something. If it's a 5K, a 10K, a triathlon, a bike race, whatever, signing up for something and then staying committed to training for it will actually have a very big positive impact on the rest of your life. I don't care what anyone tells you, your physical health affects your mental health. And I hear often about a lot of young people that have mental health issues. And I know a lot of young people. I know a lot of very healthy young people that have incredible lives. And I don't say that they're the most successful people in the world. I think the physical health just has such a big overflow in the rest of your life. And and since mental health is such a big hot button topic for a lot of young people every day, and people like to blame social media and the lack of physical interaction that you don't get because you're on your phone all day. So instead of trying to figure out how to reduce your social media time, go sign up for a race. Think about how easy that is. If you go sign up for a 10K tomorrow, guess what? You have to train for it. Guess what you're doing when you're not training for it? When you're training for it, you're not on your cell phone. Go sign up with a race with a friend. So I'll share a very personal story. When I was 29 years old, I got into a funk about life, funk about my business, and I wasn't a happy person. I don't want to say depressed because I think that's too aggressive, but I was definitely very unhappy and not feeling good about myself. And I didn't know what it was. I think for men particularly, that age point in your life, it's a transitional age point, and you have certain expectations of what your life should look at 30. And I think men have it also at 40. I'm sure women have it too at different phases of what their expectation of their life should look like. And I didn't realize that was the reason why I was unhappy till later. But at that time, I was like, you know what? I've never been unhappy and I don't want to be unhappy. How do I fix this? And I didn't have the answer. I was coming back. One of my best friends and I took a trip to India for New Year's on a whim. We were coming back. I was flying actually by myself and I was reading a magazine. And I just flipped and I was like, triathlon. This is interesting. And then it said, there was an article attached to it that said why type A personalities are signing up for triathlons. So type A personalities, aggressive, go-getters, ambitious, want to do everything. And I realized I wasn't pushing myself physically in my life at that point. I had kind of gotten out of shape. And I was like, you know what? A triathlon will really push me from a physical place that I'm not currently in. So I signed up for this triathlon with a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, actually a coworker at the time. We both signed up for it. We both trained for 3 months. We signed up for it in Miami. So we flew to Miami, made a weekend of it, and sat there. We stayed together. We went to all the expos and learned about the triathlon experience. We completed it. And honestly, and this is obviously coming from a male's perspective, but honestly, that was the first time in my life where I felt like a man. I always felt like I was a boy, not a man. And I was nearly 30 years old at this point. And that physical accomplishment, for some reason, gave me I don't know, it's like an animal instinct part of it. It's like I felt like, damn, I'm an adult now. I accomplished something. There's something about a physical challenge that just overshadows anything you can accomplish with money and you see that. You see why some of the most successful people on earth are obsessed with these really crazy things like ultra marathons, triathlons, Ironman, bike racing across the world. I know a guy that biked a long Tour de France, and he's a very successful guy. And I think these types of physical challenges are very important to give us perspective in our life. And I realized after my triathlon that I was a very happy person, that I just needed to get out there and make a change in my life. And there's one thing about these types of physical challenges, there's amazing communities attached to it. So in our case in LA, if you live in LA area, we do a Saturday run club called the Grand AC West Hollywood Run Club. We meet in the same place. It's the back of a very famous coffee shop called Alfred's Coffee. It's in the alley. We've been meeting every Saturday for a week and a half, and we've created this incredible community. And about nearly 20 people from the community ran the marathon in LA this weekend. And afterwards, we all got together. I mean, I saw these young guys and they were so damn happy. I guarantee you it's a feeling that can only be replicated by doing another physical accomplishment. They're all going to go on to be very successful with their businesses. They'll get married one day, have children, and they'll have different sensations. But there's something about accomplishing something physically that at the end of the day, like, you know, if you think about evolution, we're ultimately animals, and money is just a emotional short-term fix or a short-term piece of happiness. And I always try to think, why do all these people love doing these types of things? And part of it is, if you want to improve yourself mentally, think about how long-term of a commitment you have to make. So let's say I want to be a happier person. I want to do this. Where do you even start with that? I don't know how to make someone happier. I don't know how someone not to be depressed. I don't have the answer to those questions because each person is different. But I could tell you this, that if you take that leap of taking on something physical, it will have a lasting impact on your mental health. If you look at a lot of I don't want to say this as a generalized statement, but I would argue that most people that are in a mentally strong place are physically healthy. I think it's more cases of yes than not. And I think if you lead with the physical part of your life, I think you will see an immediate impact on your physical health, which will give you confidence. Who isn't happier when they look better, feel better, sleep better, eat better? These are such simple things that you can impact in your life tomorrow. And I did that with this marathon, and I'm constantly doing it. Am I in perfect shape? No. But the last 4 months, I got really focused. I trained for a marathon. I accomplished it. In the month of March, I cut my sugar intake just because I wanted to be as healthy as possible for the race. But there's just something, like, I was so overwhelmed with emotion right when I crossed the finish line, and I was so happy. And I was like, man, if people can experience this, even in the smallest form. I remember when I did my first 5K, 10K, I had the same feeling. It's just as you get a little bit more in shape, you want to go task bigger challenges for yourself. So maybe one day I will do an Ironman, or I'll do one of these things. I don't know if I'll do a marathon again. I'll do something else. But I just wanted to take the time to talk about that and really share. And I'm going to challenge you guys, because we joke about challenges in our office. Go sign up for something. Go sign up for anything. Go sign up for a 5K walk. I guarantee you that'll make you feel good when you're done with it. And you will want to continue to do this, and watch how it impacts the rest of your life. You want to make a mental change? I think you start with a physical change. So get going. And by the way, it's amazing for social media. I'm trying to think. I got maybe 1,000 messages in the last 48 hours for completing the marathon. I have successful moments every so often in a given year, whether it's work related, personal related. Like when my child was born, I got a ton of messages. When I got married, I got a ton of messages. After those two, running this marathon, I'm getting an inflow of text messages and DMs on how I've got them to go run. I felt inspired to go run a mile or 5 miles, or maybe I want to go sign up for this. How awesome is that I did something and it actually impacted other people? If you go sign up for something, I promise you, your community around you will be impacted by it, and you will make a difference in someone's life just because you chose to do something that's good for your physical and mental health. So go sign up for some shit right now.